Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwowin's Nest. Thanks for joining me today. I've got three really cool projects for you today. The first one is upcycling this Home Sweet Home sign. It was something that I created a while ago and I really wasn't liking the lettering on it anymore. So I'm just using my little craft knife from the Dollar Tree and scraping off all of the paint. This is the oil-based Craft Smart paint that I use, and it comes off really easily just by scraping it. You could also use a razor or a craft knife blade. Just be really careful that you don't scratch the glass or that you cut yourself. Next, I'll be taking a makeup cotton remover pad and some 100% acetone and just cleaning up the residue of the ink. I've flipped the frame over to the back side of it, and the glass is glued in with hot glue, so it's permanently in place there. And what I'm going to do is just paint the inside of the frame with Rust-Oleum Chiffon Cream paint, which is sort of an old white or an off-white, maybe an antique white kind of color. And then I'll be doing a couple of coats on the front as well. For this frame upcycle, I'm using a piece of cardboard that came from, I think it was some stickers. Anyway, I'm not sure, but I always just hang on to this cardboard. It's really nice and thin, and it has a white back to it, so it's going to work out perfect for what I need. I'm just putting the frame on top and then marking with a pencil all the way around, and then I'll use my utility knife and an old cutting board to cut through and get a nice straight edge. Today's video is sponsored by an Amazon store called Abyssaly. They provide peel and stick wallpapers, and they have some beautiful designs. They reached out to me and I was so excited to be able to showcase their products in my video today. The paper is so nice and thick. It's durable. The adhesive on the back is amazing, and the different patterns and colors they have are out of this world. This is the pattern that I chose. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me of driftwood, kind of beachy, nautical. It's got some beautiful blue and pale green tones to it. Just an amazing piece of artwork. I'll have the link to the Abyssaly store and this particular paper down in my description box. Please make sure you go check it out. It has the grid lines on the back, which makes it really easy to cut your measurements nice and straight. This is a really good quality wallpaper, and they call it wallpaper because that's what it is. You can actually peel and stick this onto your wall. The adhesive backing is amazing. It sticks really well to all sorts of different items. I'm going to be sticking it to cardboard, and later on in the video you'll see me put it on some metal and some wood, and it really adheres very, very well. So now I'm peeling off the backing paper, and the way I like to do it is just to pull down a couple of inches and then fold that backing paper, give it a nice crease, because then it's easier to grab when I flip things over. I'm then going to start at one end and lay the wallpaper down, smooth it out, and then with my other hand I'll be pulling the backing off underneath. At the same time, I'm going to use a ruler to smooth it out as I go. I left a little bit of an overlap on the one end, so I'm going to need to trim that. This wallpaper is super easy to trim just with a utility knife. I'll have the link to the Abysmal Amazon store and the link to this particular paper down in my description box. I'm going to use some black acrylic paint to do some distressing on the chiffon cream, and I think these two colors together are really going to bring out the tones of the wallpaper. As you can see, I don't have the backing on yet. I've got to do a couple other things before I can attach the wallpaper backing to the frame. I'm going to be putting a stencil on the inside of the frame. This one is Gather Here with Grateful Hearts. I thought it was kind of appropriate for what we're all going through right now. And what I'm going to be doing is putting it on backwards. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to paint the inside of the glass and not the outside of the glass. I don't want to have to worry about wiping off or damaging any of the lettering or the paint or the ink when I want to clean it. And I will probably be selling this piece, so I don't want anyone to be concerned about that. So I have put the stencil in backwards, and I'll be taping it down and then using a small little stencil brush to stencil out the letters. I've completed the stenciling part with the acrylic paint, and I only did one coat. I could have done 2 coats, but I had a feeling that I was probably going to get a little bit of bleeding and maybe a little bit of some rougher edges on the letters. So I decided to take the stencil off, and what I'm going to do is let this dry really well, and then I'm going to take my Craft Smart oil-based pen and go over the letters again. Going over this with the paint pen really made a difference in how dark and rich the black stood out. You'll be able to see that in a minute when I show you the front side again, but this was really easy to do. I'm glad I did the stenciling first, because then I was just kind of able to just trace and color in, and it was really simple. It took me a while to do this part, but it was really well worth it. Now it's time to put the wallpaper backing on, and I'm going to use my Weldbond glue to give it a nice strong permanent hold, and it's going to cover up all that leftover paper and the ugliness of the back of this. It's going to turn into something really pretty that I'll be very proud to list for sale. Anyway, when I did this, I wasn't really thinking that the cardboard would be a tough customer, but it was. I had weighted it down for about a half an hour and it still wasn't sticking properly. So I'm not sure if it was the cardboard itself or the texture of the frame or what was going on. But anyway, it wasn't sticking. So I ended up putting some little upholstery tack nails in the back of the frame all the way around, and that was going to do the trick, and it held everything in place really well. My second project is just using a Dollar Tree pizza pan. I'm going to drill 4 holes on either side. Those will serve as handles. I'm going to add the wallpaper to the bottom of the tray. So what I need to do is just trace out how much paper I'm going to need, trace out the circle, and then cut it out. Not sure if you noticed, but I traced the outside of the pizza pan, which means that I'm still going to do a little bit of trimming. What I did was just use my finger to crease around the area, and this showed up really nicely. You can see the crease there that I made with my finger, and I was just able to use that as my guide and trim it to the proper size. Here's the wallpaper on. It's beautiful. It's so pretty, very easy, no bubbles. And then I realized that the stripes are wonky in relation to where the handles are going to be. So I thought, okay, I could just put another piece on top, but I thought, you know what? Let's give this a try. I pulled the paper off and it came off very easily. I did have to tug because the grip of the adhesive on the back is really strong. I was able to reposition it and put it back on, and the adhesive gripped again really super well. I had a little bit of bubbles and a little bit of creases in the paper, but that was my fault because it kind of got a little crumpled when I took it off. But I was able to work out all the bumps and everything, and it just looks absolutely perfect. I'm going to use some of this white nautical rope. It's actually an off-white color, and I'm going to hot glue it all around the edge of the wallpaper. I didn't do the most perfect job cutting it in the circle, so this is going to help to disguise those cut edges that aren't perfect, and it's also going to add a little bit more detail to the tray. Now you can see what I'm doing with the holes that I drilled in. They're going to become little rope handles. So I'm just putting some tape on the end of the rope, and I'm going to feed it through each of the holes and then hot glue it to the back. The last project I have for you today is this IKEA stool. I'm going to give it a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the chiffon cream. You always want to make sure that before you apply the wallpaper, you make sure that your surface is clean and totally dry. So I've done that already, and I've also cut a piece that will fit the top of the stool just a little bit larger than the stool itself. The easiest way that I have found to apply wallpaper like this is to peel down a couple of inches, fold that back, and then use something long to press down the paper while I pull out the backing. Now I'm just going to smooth out any bubbles. I'll need to do some trimming on a couple of sides, so I'm just going to use my level, which is a little bit longer than the stool, and my utility knife, and then just score the paper and peel it off. It's really super easy to trim. The last thing I'm going to do to the stool is a little bit of distressing. I'm going to take some 120 grit sandpaper and just rough it up on the corners to pull off some of that paint and show the wood underneath. I'd like to thank Abyssaly for sponsoring the video today. I really enjoyed working with their products. If you are new to my channel, I would love for you to hit that red subscribe button and the bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.